Welcome back, guys. Today is kind of a special day. I'm in a good mood because I just reached 1,000 subscribers, which means I can monetize my channel, which I never thought of doing, but hey, sounds pretty great. I started making these videos kind of for myself to keep a record of stuff that I've driven and like to make videos. It's kind of my hobby. Yeah, I think I will continue making more videos. It's been very fun for me. For all of you who enjoy watching my videos, just know that thank you for watching and I'll be making more. In today's video, I want to tell you guys about a certain topic which has been in my mind for quite a while, and that is I think I am finally convinced that turbocharged cars are actually kind of awesome. So for the longest time, I have been somewhat uptight about only owning naturally aspirated cars. You get it, right? Like the linearity of the response and the purity of the intake and exhaust noise and the revs. There's no replacement for that. I mean, let's take my Civic Type R for an example. You really have to work the revs to make the most of it. Below 4,000, well, you might as well just stay home. But once you reach 5,000 or 6,000 RPM, the car comes alive and it wants you to go all the way to climax. 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. All the way to 9,000. And it's these kind of cars that I've always loved, that you really have to work it to get the best out of it. But is this what we really want? Or have we just been brainwashed by pretentious journalists all these years? I'm beginning to wonder. I've been thinking to myself. So in order to find out for myself, I think I need to put my money where my mouth is. And I did. I sold my E90 M3, you know, the one with the magnificent 4-liter V8. And I bought a turbocharged car. The car that I bought to replace the M3 was a car that Jeremy Clarkson deemed undrivable, and he even claimed that the car tried to kill him twice. It is the F21 M135i. Wait, that's blasphemy, you might say. And I probably would agree with you a few years ago, but now that I have owned this car for 3 months, I'm not so sure. I feel like maybe I'm starting to like this car more than I did the M3. Oh shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say this car is better than the M3 or the M3 is better than this car. I'm just trying to share with you guys why this M135i has made me open up my mind about turbocharged cars. So here is my review, if you can call it one, of my M135i. Alright guys, there it is. My 2013 M135i. Being a 2013 makes it a pre-facelift model, which you can tell from the droopy eyes, or some might call it sad puppy eyes. It's a cute little car. In fact, this car actually attracts quite a few girls. I don't know why, but I've had a few girls come up and say, hey, nice car. It's never happened to me before, but somehow this car attracts the girls. But don't be deceived by the cuteness of this car. Don't turn your back on it, because if you turn your back on this car, it will eat your ass, because this car is filthy. This car is a sleeper. It looks like a normal hatchback, but it packs a big punch. It has 400 horsepower. Of course, it's been tuned. That's why it's making more than factory horsepower. But from the outside, there's no way you can tell. Except if you look at the brakes. These Brembo GT brakes kind of give you a hint as to what kind of car this is. Let's pop the hood and have a look at this N55 engine, which being a 2013 means it's It still has pneumatic wastegates, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. Aftermarket intake, not a big fan of these. They look nice, but as you can see, it's very flimsy. And I don't know if you can see down here, it has a aftermarket blow-off valve, which I don't know where I stand on that, but it does sound kind of cool. Nothing else much to say about this engine. It is, some people call it the modern 2JZ. Aftermarket exhaust from Army Tricks, which not a big fan of. It's a bit obnoxious, a bit too loud. In fact, I just want to show you guys. It's so obnoxious that on startup, it pops. Isn't that just distasteful? I know this is a software mod, but I think I need to get rid of it because I use this as a daily. I visit customers in this car, and the last thing I want when leaving their factory is popping off. It's just not a good look. Anyway, that is pretty much all I have to say exterior wise and styling wise. So next, let's go for a spin. So let's begin with the steering. The steering on this car is electrically assisted, but I think, now I've driven quite a few BMWs, old and new. I think the F generation electric steering that BMW used is actually pretty good. I think they almost nailed it from the get-go. I mean, of course, if you want to compare it to the E90, yeah, of course, the E90 has better steering. But if you compare it to the newer G series, this has a lot more texture and just feels more natural. The weight is also heavier than the G series. It just feels better in the hands. Yesterday, I went to BMW Driving Experience and they let us drive their new 330e and also the BMW iX, the electric car. And both of those cars had horrible steering feel. You just feel nothing. It's completely numb and it's super light. And when I hopped back into this car, because I drove this car there, this just felt old school. And I can't believe I'm saying it. I'm calling this electric steering old school, but it really did feel old school, relatively speaking, after driving a full day of the newer BMW products. So, this steering, I am on board. I think it's pretty damn good. Not bad at all. Then we talk about the suspension. One of the reasons why I sold the M3, of course, not just because wanting to experience turbochargers, but also because I wanted something that is a bit less punishing on the roads. This car, even though it's not as pin sharp as the M3, of course it's not, it feels much more civilized. It's just, you know, as a daily, I drive this car to work almost every day, and I feel, I would say, 50% more comfortable than comparing to the M3. The NVH is better on this car than in the E90 series. The suspension is better tuned for roads like these, and so I am able to enjoy this car more just because of this more relaxed suspension. Now, what do we have next? I'm saving the engine for the last because that is the main thing that I want to talk about. The brakes. I did say in the beginning of my video that this is a review of my car and not all M135i's, because this car has been modified. Not so much, but The brakes are a big departure from the stock brakes because of these Brembo GT brakes. These brakes are just excellent. They're so damn good. I don't think this car deserves such good brakes, but I have to thank the previous owner for spending big money on these, and it's just so worth it. I never had the experience of paying big money on brakes because I always cheap out, and it's good to have someone do it for you before they sell you the car. And these brakes are just so good. Not just the stopping power, it's just easy to modulate, very predictable, and it just feels meaty. Now you can hear, doesn't sound as good as a naturally aspirated inline 6 like the one in my M5, but it does the job. The handling, as you can see, it's a bit understeery, but that's because I did kind of push it into the corner a bit too quickly. But that's okay, because do you know how to fix understeer when in a car like this? You just give it more gas, and this car has plenty of gas to give. Plenty. Why is that? Because this is an N55 turbocharged engine. Some might call it the modern 2JZ. I don't know where I stand on that statement, but there is no denying that this is a fun little engine. And like all BMW drivers, you must turn off traction control when you drive. That's just the law. When you drive a BMW, you gotta turn off the traction control. That's just how it is. And this car comes alive. Manual shifting, fourth gear, and the power is great. It's faster than the M3, way more torque. And it's so mad. Like I said, this car is not as pin sharp as the M3. You can tell from maybe the footage that the body control is not precise. Let's just say that. It's a bit wallowy. There's a lot of body motion. But that's okay, because as long as you don't drive it like an asshole like I did, this car is actually very enjoyable. Normally I don't drive like that, just so you guys know. I only did that to show you guys what it is like on the limit when driven like an asshole. But if you drive this car cleanly, it's actually very rewarding. The body roll is actually, it adds to the experience, same as what people say about the MX-5. The MX-5 has a lot of body roll, but it's what makes the car fun. And I think you can apply that same kind of philosophy to this car. What this car really needs is a limited slip differential, because oftentimes I find it only putting power down to the slippery wheel. And so it does these one-wheel peels, which just ruins your ability to be able to slide this car. Whenever it loses traction on one wheel, it puts all the power onto that wheel. And you lose the chance of doing these epic power slides. So that's what I'm going to do with this car. I think I will definitely install probably a Quaife limited slip differential, just so I can make more use of the power of this car. This car needs it. It needs to be able to put the power down. Otherwise, it's just sliding all over the place. You know how people say power corrupts all? I think in the case of this BMW, it has definitely corrupted me, because I used to love the purity of a naturally aspirated engine, but now I'm starting to like the dirtiness, the naughtiness of a turbocharged engine. I never thought I would say that, but I really like it. It's just the ability to light up the tires like that. I've never had that. I really enjoyed being naughty when driving this car. Hey, I'm a BMW driver. What do you expect? Right, so we now know that this engine is a lot of fun, but what about the turbo lag? Well, so now I'm putting in manual mode to prevent it from shifting by itself. 7,000 RPM. If I floor it, it's really nothing much happens. It takes a while for it to boost up, but that's also because I was in a very low RPM range. So let's put it into a lower gear and test it, let's say at third gear, 4,000 RPM, floor it. It still takes a while to spool up, let's say about 1 second. I'm off the gas, back on the gas, takes a while, and then boost comes. So compared to the newer turbocharged cars, I feel like there is a significant amount of turbo lag, but this is something that eventually you get used to and you learn to anticipate for. I can complain about it, but I choose not to. It's one of those things. So if I put it into sport mode, this is what I really don't like about this car. It burbles way too much. Look at this. It's just diarrhea. Blah, 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 blah. I give it a bit of gas, I let go. It still burbles. I'm not even pushing the car and it's burbling. That is way too much. Way too much. Luckily, this is something that can be tuned out. Oh, look at that, it's so annoying. So what I do is I never put it in sport, keep it in comfort, and then it'll stop the burble tune. Because I just cannot stand it. It's so annoying. It's just distasteful. I am okay with loud exhausts, but I don't like burbling. So just now I did the S-curve rather messily. Let's try to do it with a clean driving style, see what the car is like. If you drive it cleanly, the car is actually not bad at all. It's quite neutral, I have to say. If you just go into a corner too fast, the front end will start to push gently, and if you get on the gas, it will neutralize the understeer and transition to oversteer depending on how much gas you give it. And that gives you mid-corner adjustability that makes the car extremely fun on the limit. I can change the suspension, that way the entire chassis will probably be a lot more sharper and even more adjustable on the limit, but at the cost of perhaps giving up some of the drivability on roads like these. And so being a daily, I don't think I will do much to the suspension. I'll just focus on the LSD, getting rid of the burbles like I said, and extracting a tiny bit more power while I can, without having to spend too much money. So that is the plan. So really all I have to say about this car is that it's just fun. It's a really fun and playful car. It doesn't do anything spectacularly. I mean, the handling is not that great, but it's still predictable. It doesn't need to be pin sharp because it's not a track car. But you can have fun on normal roads like these. And that's what owning a car is about. You have to be able to enjoy it. If you have a car that you can only enjoy on the track, then you should only drive it on the track. You shouldn't drive it on the road. So, what is the takeaway of this video? Well, I guess I just want to say that don't get too caught up in what people say about certain types of cars. Experience them for yourself and see if you like it. I've always looked down on turbocharged cars because, you know, because of what journalists say. They say it's the cheap way of producing power. It's the lazy way of producing power, and it's not pure. Well, try it yourself, see if you like it. Doesn't matter what people say, as long as you like it. And I must say, I have grown to really like turbocharged cars in the past few months, especially after having driven the GT2. So, in the future, if I ever were to buy another performance car, a turbocharged one is definitely something that I will not leave out. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.